we're here this afternoon with the lovely Robert Foertsch.
Hey, thank you so much, Karen. It's great to be here today.
Absolutely, Robert, my good old friend Robert.
Yeah, and today I wanted us to focus on, or at least what I wanted to bring forward is actually the passion of my life is to know and expose the truth about everything. And the more important the question is, as far as what is true and what can we consider, the more important the question is, obviously, the more important an accurate and truthful answer is, so that we can make choices based on reality rather than propaganda, deception, manipulation, whether it's at the macro level of society or even interpersonal relationships, which can be very challenging in a world that is so deceived. And by irony and paradox, the deceived don't know that they are in fact deceived.
And they get deceived again and again and again, don't they, Robert?
Oh yeah, yeah. And so like even with my pursuit of this, there are layers of discovery that occur. Like almost 2 years ago, there was quite a big stir in humanity with an illness that apparently was affecting people. And what I ended up finding out is that there was a lot of deception around all of this. So we're looking at we're in 2021 now, and in 2019, right at the end of 2019, apparently some people in China were getting sick, and then there was quite a confusing mix of stories and things that we saw on television. And I wanted to know the truth about it. What ended up happening for me is I found out that much of what I previously had believed about sickness and our body's immunity and transmission of so-called viruses and that type of thing. There's it's the science isn't necessarily settled, and for those that say the science is settled, it's largely a manipulative move to get people to go along with the official propaganda or the official deception.
Yeah, I
So,
think a lot of people know that as well, Robert, now, thank goodness, but that's what it is.
well, yeah, now some people are aware of it. However, if they've decided to subject themselves to the some of what is termed
The
as,
Jabberwocky.
well, at first it was encouraged, and then when we went from they went through giving away lottery tickets
Amy did.
and
That was
vodka and
absolutely
cigarettes
bizarre.
and
Amy told me about that.
well,
You get a
there
beer and a
were
pizza.
yeah, so there were a lot of incentives, and now it's become in a lot of areas mandatory for buying or traveling, that type of thing. So in our world today, there's quite a bit of um, manipulation of humanity and the what is called the Great Reset by the World Economic Forum. And so we're in what they term as the fourth industrial revolution, which a lot of it has to do with informational and artificial machine learning intelligence, deep learning intelligence that apparently is quite a bit more intelligence, so to speak, than all the combined intellect of the world's population. Truth be known, there's a lot of deception around all of that too. So there's intellectual capacity that is rather robust. And for a person myself that has thought outside the box most of my life, I've come to find out that this, considering the variables and options, it is absolutely mind blowing. And in my pursuit of the truth, Well, I found out that there's mystery with history. A lot of what we've been told for the history of our countries, whichever one we live in, the history of the origin of our Earth, as well as geological, cosmological, the study of the Earth itself, the study of the universe. There's been a tremendous amount of deception, and so what I found out with that is that a lot of people were deceived, and they didn't want to hear any of it. So I'm going to flip this around for a moment and just show you. Here's my Facebook. This would be me at the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier and the Truth Mobile. And I'm going to move this through my Facebook a little bit. It says that I've got some false information there about that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. That just means I'm telling the truth. And I've got some photos here. If you hashtag Robert Foertsch, you'll see a lot of interesting photography. And all this right here about athletes, young people having struggles and dropping like flies because of some, oh, how would I say, experimental therapy. Yeah, yeah, it's not good. And so I believe the Bible is God's word and it's true. And I know that there's been a lot of manipulation in humanity, including with different varieties of the Bible, different translations and all that. So there's plenty of controversy there as well. What I'm able to do on my Facebook here is have a lot of different platforms that are kind of like the landing page of what I'm about. Now, what I wanted to show you here, this is, I had this photo. This is the original, or I should say the official Tesla photo for the Roadster. And then I had myself photoshopped into it. And I've got a video here that I've created a hashtag, several of them, Tesla water car. Many of us are familiar with Nikola Tesla, and I don't want to go there. That's too weird. Um, so, what I came up with would be different hashtags that involve Nikola Tesla and also the the mystery with technology. Nikola Tesla did a lot with originating electrical distribution and understanding some of the mysteries of our world as far as energy within the ether. Lightning is a good example of the discharge that takes place in the ether, as he called it, AETHER. It's like static electricity, where a sprite can come from the firmament, apparently, or up from the ground as well, at which point the discharge in the air will meet it. So there's that. The other thing is that there are technologies linked into those videos. For example, if you type in the hashtag Tesla water car, you'll see the photo of that. So I'm gonna flip this back around for a moment. Let me see how this works. That's a little weird. So I'm gonna type in the hashtag. Oh, Tesla racing is another one that I have, but there's quite a few of those.
yeah.
So Tesla water car. And the reason why that's a big deal is because Stanley Meyer had created technology to actually run a vehicle on water. So you can see here, I've got two of these that have, oh gosh, it did it to me again. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to scroll through here and go down to this one is Bloom, the Bloom box energy secret. You can see the link on my Facebook, basically taking sand, creating a fuel cell that extracts energy.
So a bit like an aeroplane, really, then, Robert.
Well, so there's energy in the ether. There's energy all around us. There's what's called zero point energy. On this right here, I've got Elon Musk tagged as well as Tesla, AI, Nikola Tesla, Tesla Energy, and Tesla Hydroelectric and Tesla Racing. It's a big deal. I mean, apparently Elon is now recognized publicly as the wealthiest man in the world. And I've actually sent him uh, a SpaceX, well, it's actually a tube that I had uh, myself photoshopped on the outside with this particular photo and the Cybertruck, and I sent stickers along. I'm in a very awkward place, and I'm putting him in somewhat of an awkward place too, because what I did is expose the space fantasy of SpaceX with, supplying so-called the International Space Station. Well, I could have done it with a pickup truck because they're going to a studio. Now, it's humorous, and I've been talking about that for years. However, he was ready to go bankrupt or at least lose Tesla and SpaceX until he got $1.6 billion to supply the International Space Station. So exposing that space fantasy is a big deal. And what has happened is much of that imagination is a fantasy that is very clever in how it's across our history from when we started going to movies as a society, or even the novels like Jules Verne and other Arthur C. Clarke fiction writers, science fiction writers, and so we've got all of this going along with that, and people have believed that we live on a globe spinning over 1,000 miles an hour. Most people don't even realize that that's the supposed rotation speed. They may not give it another thought. And a lot of people argue and say, "Oh, the Earth isn't flat." I'm not even saying it's flat. I'm saying it's stationary and level. There would never, ever be level anywhere if we were spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. Like on my photo, I'm going to say it because it's hilarious. You know what? It's Photoshop because it has to be. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. So we have technology right now that can take this vehicle right here and charge up the battery with a small hydrogen fuel cell on the vehicle. And you don't have to fill up at a high pressure hydrogen fueling station. You can electrolyze the hydrogen in real time right on the vehicle. And I've got explanation of that on the videos. People can click on it, they can look around at it. It's basically using water as a fuel. And water is hidden in plain sight. We need it to survive, we need it to live. Uh, our bodies function well with good, clean, fresh, pure water, and that's one of the reasons why the system of control that wants a docile and smaller population. So there are chemicals in the food, water, air, electronics, uh, to sterilize and reduce physical desire for people to reproduce, as well as just confusing the whole gender issue. We've got a transpocalypse, which involves transhumanism, which is largely the integration of technology in the body. And then we've got also the transgendering, which reduces population as well. However, there's different manipulation with cloning that there's I saw a photo of it. It was so bizarre. It was on Really Graceful's channel, and I've got it on my playlist where there's a throuple, three men and a baby, no woman required. They use the DNA from each of the men to create in the lab a human being, so called, using the genetics from each of the men. That's just bizarre. That's just not right. So, one of the proclamations of the Bible is that, as in the days of Noah, so would it be when the Son of Man returns. We're looking at a corrupted version of humanity that is apparently unprecedented. I don't know if there was previously similar technology to what we have now. However, I can, based on my research and that of many people that have forwarded that research to me, there's been a corruption of humanity all along. And so that's the way we found it. Now, involved in the transgendering, there's you can change the plumbing and padding. It doesn't change the gender. So that a lot of the people that were presented as playmates, Playboy playmates, a lot of them were involved in a MK Ultra honeypot kind of situation where they put politicians and celebrities in compromising positions, literally, and then hold them hostage with blackmail. So that was part of it. That's been an ongoing thing. You can use guns and bullets or babes and boobs and the promise of sexual satisfaction, and it can take down a whole a leader from a country or a somebody that's regarded as like a beloved comedian or producer of some type, and they'll hold them hostage with that. Even like with Jeffrey Epstein, he was involved in genetic engineering and all kinds of very bizarre things, and he was running a part of a MK Ultra, apparently, like intelligence agencies, mind control, and a honeypot, an arrangement where people are held hostage by the acts that they've done and that type of thing, and then it's documented to make it present it whenever, if it ever is necessary or viewed as necessary. So what I've done is I haven't left anybody out. As far as I know, I'm exposing the military and medical industrial complexes, the financial industrial complex, creating money out of thin air and then charging exorbitant interest for it. And we've got a debt-based slave economy that's worldwide. When I talk about government, I talk about world government. These are pawns, they're actors, whatever country they're in. I mean, we've got things like Vladimir Putin riding a freaking grizzly bear, barebacked. I mean, what the heck? He's an actor, but he's also you don't want to mess with Vladimir. You could end up dead, and that's part of it's like the Russian mob, the mafia. And so we've got a culture worldwide that uses intimidation and deception to obfuscate and hide the truth. We've got a veritable kaleidoscope of conspiracy theories to hide the true conspirators and what they're actually doing. So I've got to be very selective on what I talk about. If I use words you're not familiar with, many of you would be aware of many of these words. There may be something you want to polish up on if it sounds unfamiliar, like CRISPR technology. I'm not going to try and repeat what that's an acronym for. It's it's modifying the genetics. That's part of what it is. And there's apparently benevolent uses for it. For some, maybe even restoring vision if they're blind, or mobility if they're quadriplegic, paraplegic. And then we've got different technology that's coming out. I was contacted by, apparently, this is what they told me, this individual said that he was with the FBI, and as a social media influencer, he wanted to know if I wanted inside information. And I said, well, the problem with inside information from the FBI is that typically it's going to be disinformation, false information. He said, do you know about Neuralink? I said, yes, I do. In fact, we're well beyond that. That's only like the window dressing for some of what also is going on. There actually is real technology that's getting integrated with those robotic surgeons that are putting technology in the brain. And then there's another lesser known project that puts conductive material in the food, water, and air, aerosol dispersal. We've got aluminum, barium, strontium, and photoelectric fiber chaff that's like a parasite that can grow in the body and use the electricity from our body. When the electricity in our body stops flowing, a person is mostly dead. They're not operating anymore. The pads or the AED, the resuscitation device, can restart a person's heart. But there's other things going on right now where we're given different reasons for death that don't match the reality. So back 5 years ago or so, I talked about there were modern theoretical physicists and that would meander off into formulas and theories that do not reflect reality. Right now, we have a mockingbird media that basically parrots or repeats the official propaganda narrative that it is desired by the system of control to have a rather unified perspective. What's socially acceptable to talk about at work or by the coffee pot or the copier, or even in the private gatherings like celebrations, family get-togethers. It's very unpopular to talk about concepts of how would I say, experimental healthcare, experimental genetic modifying of people, and it's happening. I've got proof of it all over my social media profile. So back to the FBI agent, I said I said we can talk. I can tell you that what I'm aware of and what's publicly made available is disturbing enough.
Yeah.
So what I've done with that is I'll have documentation of it, thousands and thousands of videos, thousands of hours of documentation. Since I've started doing this aggressively, I've had hundreds of videos taken out of my research library because the channel has been taken down. They don't even have the system. Artificial intelligence is going to convert every word that we say into a text and evaluate that text and see if they're going to allow the video to stay up or call a violation of community standard guidelines. So I wouldn't want to say anything on here that's going to give you a strike on your channel or get it taken down. And I'm going to let it be before I would ever add it to I would never mirror the video. I don't mirror videos. What I do is I share the video from the channel that produced it so that they don't take my channel down for violating guidelines. So I'll use other people's content.
Yeah.
In the topic of the gene therapy that's going on with a wide variety of, working in concert with electronics and injectables. They're putting things in the food, water, air, and the bloodstream through a variety of avenues, a variety of procedures. Well, I've got it covered on my channel, and not just my YouTube channel. What I've done, just so you know, when I hashtag Tesla water car and people click on it, that may be um, they might be in for the shock of their life to find out what's in my research library. And then if they go over to my Facebook, there's a majority of the platforms that I can share on there. Some platforms are not allowed to be shared on Facebook. So if I put the direct link to a video in the comment of my video, it's that's part of how I do it, because the system of control doesn't mind, apparently, those of us that are aware of what's going on having our little conversation around the digital coffee pot, or our little forum, our little group chats, and that. What the system wants to control is who gets that information and what information they get. So I say it like that because to cross over to the people that are unaware of this information, that's a factor that system loses control. So I'm gonna give you an example. There's a lot of people that don't like Tesla or Elon Musk because of what he's doing with artificial intelligence, the space fantasy, and putting technology into people's heads. Oh, well, I'm not in favor of all that either. I like the electric vehicles, and I would like to see the electricity created from water as the fuel. Okay, so the world elite, so-called, are blaming all this human activity and wanting to reduce the population because we're messing up the so-called planets so much. What they're not telling the majority of the population of the world, in fact, it is them who are manipulating the world weather, flooding people out, burning them out with directed energy weapons. We just had the 3rd anniversary of Paradise, California. What happened there? Well, we've got evidence of directed energy weapons all around that, fires like they've never seen before. The one of the reasons the fires burn so hot is because there was a lot of combustible, like fireworks material from weapons burning out there. That's one of their ways of so-called destroying weapons, is to burn them. Well, you've got there's radiologicals in that. There's all kinds of pyrotechnics that get integrated into the trees and the grass, and it kills off a lot of trees. And then there's also aerosol dispersal of these same similar kind of toxins. And so a fire back maybe 100 years ago in a potbelly stove might get to 500 degrees. Well, we had fires out there in the open air that melted windshields and engine blocks and alloy wheels. You need several thousand degrees to do that. And it happened. So what's the deal with that? Look at what happened in Germany and China and even Detroit, Michigan. People getting flooded out, just flooded out, washed away, never to be seen again. We've got the Fukushima tsunami, an earthquake that happened there. We've got blast wave generating technology that can be detonated under the ocean and can send a big wave. So right now I'm looking at the La Palma Cumbre Vieja volcano. It's slowing down right now. Is it going to seal up? Are the cameras going to go away and then they show a big explosion? And just to make sure that we have a tsunami, if that's what the desired result would be, they can even detonate weapons that are in submarines. A captain of a submarine doesn't even need to know they're going to just, the artificial intelligence is going to detonate the technology right in the sub. Could happen. So when we look at the predictive programming of like the Terminator 3, when they find out that Skynet is self-aware and it is the virus and it's wanting to reduce the population of the world. Well, that's kind of interesting because we've got a mirror of that going on in the world right now. So just because they show something in the movies doesn't necessarily mean for sure it's going to happen. It's just those are some of the options of things that may happen. So apparently part of the backstory of Fukushima is there was some kind of a negotiation that Japan was not working with, and they sent a strong message to the leadership there. They've hit them with a earthquake and tsunami. I've got the tragedy on my channel. You can see it. The people running for their lives, a brave young lady warning people to go to higher ground, and then she was eventually washed away too. See, much of humanity that watches the so-called news, the mainstream programming, they're not going to hear this. They're not going to hear the truth about what happened on 9/11 of 2001. I don't claim to know all the details of exactly how it went down. Literally, pun intended, a lot of people died. In fact, the system will even cast shame on those that would question it out of respect for the people who lost family members. I got something to say about that. I take offense that our elected leaders were very involved in choreographing what went down. And then they blamed people from other countries that had nothing to do with it and went and blew them up too. How about out of respect for the truth? It pisses me off. I'm all out of bubble gum. I came here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. I'm freaking all out of bubble gum. Roddy Piper. Wow, They Live. That was a documentary. So was The Matrix. It was showing more of an allegory of what we're living in. The bucket of goo that the pod that most people are living in is like their body, and they've been programmed and deceived. Some people get unplugged from it. I was just given a healthy helping of a desire to know the truth about everything. Even as a child, I wanted to know. I wanted to know what the heck is going on here. A lot of things don't make sense. Like when I found out that, yeah, we've had inventions to run cars on water instead of oil. There's all kinds of healthier technology, and then the world elite, so-called, the globalists. It's not, we don't live on a globe. That's part of their big joke on humanity. What they're blaming us for the stuff they're doing to reduce the population and scare us. Try to anyway. I'm not scared. I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. My manila envelope, like maybe you've heard of people saying, I've got this envelope that'll go to the papers from an attorney or something, all the stuff I know about. No way. What good would that do me? I'd be gone. What I've done is I've taken it public right away when I found the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars document, made a Facebook video of it. And then I downloaded it to my computer and uploaded it to YouTube. That video, since the original version of it was taken down. Mine is still there. When I sent Elon Musk my YouTube channel and the shirt with me photoshopped in it and the Cybertruck on the back, I got contacted from a representative from Tesla. Yeah, and they were very interested in the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars Facebook group and video that I had. Well, the reason that is because we're looking at it happening all around us. The manipulation of humanity with computer technology that is self-aware now, it's super intelligent, and it has determined that we're far enough along that a huge segment of the population is going away. It's going to be reduced. So the thugs that are putting a boot on the face of humanity in the UK or in Australia, those thugs are going to end up getting culled too when they're done with them, doing their bidding. So the people that are supposed to uphold our country's constitutions, not just the United States. I'm thinking of the world.
Rights, Robert.
What?
Where you think you've got rights, the Constitution, where you think you've got rights, but you don't.
Well, you're exactly correct. The system of control gives us no rights. They see us as animals that have no brains. Those that don't use their brains are like animals who have no brains. Very similar to the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars documentary. Now it's a document. William J. Cooper, Bill Cooper, who has exposed so much of the world corruption, was assassinated. And that was shortly after the events of 2001. Can a plane really vanish into the ground going so fast that we don't have black boxes, bodies, and plane wreckage? I'm calling
blood.
I'm calling bullshit on it. I'm saying
Robert,
that is ridiculous.
Or even blood.
Right. And how about the Twin Towers? I've got when I first found out about this about a decade ago, there were a lot of videos about it. A lot of them have been taken down. We know they were lying. They're lying. I ain't buying. Who's they? Well, it's basically Satan and all the people he's conned into representing him, getting fame and fortune and fun stuff, and then they get to go to hell for eternity. I wouldn't trade what I have for what Elon Musk has. Even if you were to toss in what Jeff Bezos has and Bill Gates, all the wealth in the world, what would it profit a man if he gained the whole world and lose his soul? That's what I bring to the table. What I would really like to see is some of these billionaires decide or find out that they've been duped, that they've been deceived, that they've been outright bamboozled. I'm telling on them. I'm calling them out. I don't know of anybody that's doing what I'm doing, like I'm doing it. And it's not that I wanted to do it different than everybody else. I just wanted to do what I could with what I had. Is I wanted to do as much as I could with everything that I had available to me. Now, some of you people listening to me maybe for the first time or maybe the 10th time might not be aware that I've been exposing this fantasy that people are living in for years, and because of the providence of God, meaning that He's large and in charge, He's in control of everything. Ultimately, He either causes it or allows it. I've got conservatively 40 million views, and you got to know that the billionaires launching their willies into space. For gosh sakes, they've got to know. They've seen me, heard me, whether they realized it was me or not. Do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? For gosh sakes, if we were spinning 1,000 miles an hour, we'd all go flying off. I said that in one of my 10-minute live or 19-minute live streams, talking about the Tesla superchargers, that they could have a fuel cell there and draw the energy out of the water, shatter the bond and recombine it, the bond between oxygen and hydrogen. It doesn't violate any laws of energy conservation. That's all a bunch of baloney cooked up by the people that don't want us to know. So, for example, when coal is dug out of the ground, or oil, and it's used to melt steel or run heavy equipment and all of that, what that takes energy to get that. Well, the water is right at our faucets. It's in ponds. It comes out of the sky. We need it to survive. And yet we have technology that can extract the energy from it. And so literally I can talk a lot, but in a 32 second video I did, we can power the world with water. Tesla driving the future. Whether you like them or not, we're going to have freaking robots all around us. In fact, we already do. There are people that have been largely taken over by the technology, and they're doing the bidding for the artificial intelligence and what it wants the people to do. So there's been debating and arguments over human cloning. I would say, well, okay, we had Dolly the sheep. They didn't stop there in the late 90s. Okay, we've got plenty of evidence of cloning. How about celebrities? Are they cloning them? Well, let me give you an example. Right now, artificial intelligence can create content that says what the producer of the code wants it to do. So, like looking at Tesla, Elon Musk, SpaceX, look at all the fanboys and girls that are celebrating trips to Mars and all the SpaceX activity. And they've got a whole bunch of base stations for the Starlink. Why do they need all the base stations? Perhaps they're just bouncing signals off of the firmament, the structure that covers the face of this very unpopular stationary level Earth. Because we're not spinning over 1,000 miles an hour, hurling around the sun at over 66,000 miles an hour. And none of that supposed movement has been proven. And then I'll wade into some of the channels that are celebrating their ignorance by parroting and vomiting up the official deception and congratulating each other on how brilliant they are. Well, they need a different perspective, one with their head out of their ass. But they're not going to be able to pull their head out of their ass on their own, because pride is a powerful catalyst for deception. So the people with the PhDs and the degrees and this and that, and their CEOs and their captains of business and industry and business magnates, and they're deceived. Ultimately, they're some of the most deceived people. I feel sorry for them. So that's why when I want to communicate, I use the movies too. I'll show, for example, John Wick in training at Terran Tactical. Show what Keanu Reeves, he's the best weapons handler in Hollywood. This is our training program. It's a loading program. Show people what they can do. My feet and hands are weapons. I'm a directed energy weapon. I've talked about that. Directed by God, energized by Him, and He'll lead me. and he's going to do to whoever he wants, whatever he wants to whoever he wants that would decide they want to take some of us out, or however they think they're going to do it. There's all kinds of stories about stuff that happens to people. I would like to see some profound acts of God, so called, on some of the world leaders, like lightning bolt strikes. That would be with flair. I would like to see that. So that it's not going to be blamed on an angry mob with pitchforks and torches. I would rather see the Most High just go ahead and send a lightning bolt on some of these large meetings where they're planning the future of humanity. The great news that I look forward to is there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And I'm one of the Most High's children, the true creator. There's two families battling in this realm that we're in: God's family, Satan's family. It's the way I found it. In that, we've got Satan's children, God's children, fallen angels, elect angels. And then we've got people that are deceived and maybe possessed by a fallen entity, and they don't know it. They may have sold their soul for fame and fortune. I've got plenty of evidence of our social media influencers, actors, actresses, talking about it, that they've done that they've sold their soul to the devil for fortune and fame. Oh, well, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a bad deal. You know, have you ever, I don't know how it was when you were in school, but I remember there were kids that wanted to trade stuff. A lot of bad trades were, I heard and saw. Yeah. I'm not going to trade my soul, something eternal, for something temporary. You know what I did? By God's grace, he just helped me to realize that I was a religious phony and didn't know it. I thought I was born again in 82 until I actually was in 2014, just a little over 7 years ago. And what he helped me to realize is the reason I struggled so much with my flesh or my human nature, that's all I had. I didn't know that I was
You didn't
spiritually
really have
dead or,
that their way, did you? Because we believe all their rubbish to start with. We don't anymore. But you thought you had something different. You thought you had it.
yeah, yeah. So I thought I was born again until I actually was. I was able to trade in my rags for his riches. Good trade. I
Mind you,
would,
he's poor, really. He might have money, but he's the poor one.
well, the Most High
That's if
is
he's real.
what's that?
That's if he's real.
You mean Satan?
Oh no, I was talking about Elon.
Oh, okay. Well, as far as the human beings, so called, or the representatives for the technology and the New World Order and the transhumanist technocratic agenda, how much they're taken over by technology, I don't know. Apparently there's different additives that can be put into people that modify their DNA, their RNA, and can actually complete more connectivity between the brain and the technology. So, for example, have you heard of the Pi phone? It's
No, I haven't.
the Tesla the Tesla phone that's in
You
coming
know
out
what?
soon.
Yeah, that's about £300. I saw an advert for that the other day. I thought, wow, what an expensive watch. But it's because I
No, no,
saw
no,
the
no,
end of
no.
it.
I'm not talking of that.
It's got a
Te
phone in it.
Tesla is making a cell phone, but it's more than a cell phone. It's a satellite phone. It's going to operate off of the Starlink system with real robust download and upload speeds. But
Mm.
then, but then there's another. technology that they're advertising that has been in development for a long time. It's linking the technology to the brain, to the phone, and who knows? I think of alternative endings of movies and story plots and that type of thing. The iPhone I'm on right now, it's an iPhone 11 Pro Max. It's got a whole bunch of artificial intelligence tools and technology integrated into it. Perhaps a couple of years ago, there was an experiment to see if Elon might have been experimenting on me, for all I know, to see if I would send him a shirt with me photoshopped in the Roadster. Could be. How would I know any different? I have videos in my playlist where JC from Extreme Reality Check saw things show up in her feed that she didn't even talk about, didn't even mention to anybody, even say it out loud. And she didn't type in a keystroke or any of that. It was directly from her thoughts. Things started showing up. How is that? So we've got silent weapons for quiet wars. There's apparently sine waves that can run through the electrical grid that are in the simulated reality channel playlist and videos that I've got. Robert Duncan developed some technology that actually integrated mood affecting frequencies in what we use to operate our toasters and toaster ovens and in our our charging our devices and all that. So there's I'm obviously a targeted individual, and many of us have been targeted for a long time. I know I have. So I've got all kinds of stories. If somebody wants to know more about me, like sometimes I'll have a profile that'll reach out to me, and it may be like the photo that showed up of the person that I connected with on Facebook. Um, she has naughty pictures in a link. Naughty as in sexually provocative pictures to go to a website and all that, like an OnlyFans thing. That just happened, short a few minutes ago that person accepted my friend request, but I didn't know that was what they were about. Sometimes when I go below my 5,000 limit, I may go to a thread on a video like our truther friends. It was a really powerful piece of information that was put out, and I'll click on the how people reacted to it, and I may send out 100 friend requests. And I've got less than a minute normally to do that. Somebody will accept, so I'm up to 5,000, and I can't send any more out. But I've done that largely because I've wanted to help people make an informed choice on their forever. So sometimes they'll ask me how old I am. I'm 60 years old, okay? And I look younger than 60. I've got more energy and more focus than I did as a 20-year-old. And that was when I was racing, actually in my late teens, racing professional level motocross. I can get in anything with the motor, from heavy equipment to sports cars to boats to jet skis, any of that kind of stuff. I have a gift for it. Right now, like I'll put the technology out there that shows like the Tesla vehicle operating without a human being operating it. They're just sitting behind the wheel. But I proposed in my 1 minute and 4 second video that I sent to Elon was imagine having the Tesla Roadster as the pace car for the Indy 500 without even a passenger in it, just artificial intelligence, maybe setting lap records on the world recognized racetracks. It set several records with the pilot, but what if it were to be on autopilot? So, like, some people are unaware of how advanced this is. You can look at the Tesla AI Day. I've got it on my playlist. I'm showing what they're doing. That's what it's about. It's not me just applauding everything that's going on in the technological world, not just with Tesla, but with Intel and all that. People don't know what's going on largely. But anyway, the reason why I do that is rather than me making a video where I criticize it, I'll just show it. And I can say, hey, artificial intelligence, self-aware, it's setting its own directives. It it determines it's what it's going to do. It's self-aware. It's super intelligent, super general intelligence. And those that are saying it's a decade off, they're misrepresenting what's going on. A year from now, there's going to be a lot less people around, a lot less. So anyway, um, I,
Mm.
I wanted to interact with the people that are creating this technological, technocratic control. So like look at the how many people, thousands and hundreds of thousands of videos about AI, self-driving vehicles, self-driving weapons. For example, a
Yeah, one, they
Tesla
can fire into the crowd and it makes people think that, it makes their skin itch or makes them whatever, they just start running away.
it can do that. It might even be able to stop their heart. That can happen too.
Well, we
Maybe
did watch
even through the
videos. Remember
phone.
when all these deer dropped dead? I was thinking, they can't wait to do that to us.
Well, it may have already happened. We've had events where
Towns
people
with
have,
people missing and all their furniture in it. Yeah, I've been doing videos about that, Robert.
oh yeah, yeah. And so that technology exists that people can have their involuntary functions hindered, manipulated, or interrupted, whether it's the flow of the heart, whether the body can assimilate oxygen. You can breathe in HHO, hydroxygen. You can add a charge to the water. I've got the video. I've got videos on my channel that show it. And you can breathe in a highly enriched oxygen and hydrogen, and it helps brain function, reduces fatigue, and all that. I eat super healthy. I liquefy fruits, vegetables, nuts, oils, seeds, uh, apple cider vinegar, lemon
So
juice.
basically, we don't come round for a cup of coffee. We come round for a what do you call them? A drink. You'll mix it up.
A
It's your drink.
smoothie like that.
Smoothie. That's it. We come round for a smoothie.
Yeah, so like when I have my coffee, I'll put in about 200 milliliters of coconut oil and emulsify it in about 80 some ounce, 86 ounces of coffee that I've made with highly purified water that was out in the sun. The coconut oil is food for the brain, skin, hair, nails, all of that. It's got antifungal properties. When I'm bathing, I've got a composite tub that's insulated. I want to be grounded. Like when I'm surfing, walking on the beach, I'm grounded to the earth. Well, what I do in my bathtub is I've got a ground wire plugged into my electrical system, the ground, just the ground, and then I put powerful electrolytes in the water, purified water at that. It's drinking water. I use reverse osmosis carbon filtered water. Yeah, about 30 gallons of it. And I'll add a third of a cup of boron, which is borax. And that's antifungal. It kills parasites, kills fungus. Same thing with baking soda, a third of a cup of that. Cleanses the liver and releases lactic acid from the muscles and that. And also a third of a cup of magnesium sulfate. That's Epsom salt. A lot of people are malnourished. They may even be heavy. They may even have a lot of extra pounds. That can be a cellular response to the body not having the proper nutrition. So when I'm bathing in that highly purified, electrolyte enriched water that opens up my pores, and then I scrub my skin off real good with a microfiber towel that gets rid of all the dead skin, I'm left with some pretty good looking skin. That's one of the reasons why I look young. I have honeypots contact me and ask me why I look so young for 60 years old. I say you can call me anytime. I eat healthy and make good decisions. But see, I'm not interested in seeking an adulterous relationship. I'm a married man, so I'm not interested in something that's would be unbiblical. I can talk to them. They might even be a chatbot. How would I know? They can deep fake people. It's real easy to put together a profile with photos that are very, maybe even very modest, and just have them uh, reach out to people and to collect their data. So what I was going to say too about the cloning, it doesn't have to be like people. Although I do believe that people are cloned from cells from their body, and they've cloned them. There's an intellectual cloning where people are deceived, and they're promoting that deception. So it's like
So I
they
say something though, Robert. I mean, we do go on about that, but when we have babies, we're kind of cloning, aren't we?
so we have
Ourselves.
we've got some mystery with our history too. Orphan trains, world's fairs, like a reset of the
Incubator babies.
population. Yeah, a lot of the official story of stories of the gold rush and Tartaria would be the apparently the worldwide civilization, and we don't know all the dates of it and how advanced they actually were. There appears to be an architecture worldwide that was very far advanced from cowboys and camel jockeys and all the different, you know, 1700s, and we don't know. So what I would say about all that is there something doesn't add up. That's what I would say. It just means that I don't trust the official narrative. So in this pursuit of truth, it's like a tapestry of truth. The clever deception has a lot of truth in it, and then a small portion of deception that corrupts the whole thing. So people can be thinking they can know all kinds of stuff, all kinds of truth, if they miss the most important truth. Bummer for them. So I've done it in my videos, I've talked about it. Omnipotence is the reality of being all powerful. I'm not all powerful. God is. Which God? Well, the one that created this place. He's the Most High. Now, I know him as the author of the Bible, and he took up human flesh and dwelt among us. That might be offensive to some people. Yeah, it will be. People get killed for that, for being vocal about that. Then the other thing is omniscience. It looks like omniscience. That's how it's spelled. Omniscience is the capacity of knowing everything. I don't know it all. I know who does. In fact, I wouldn't even want to know it all. I know enough to know that what I know is disturbing. And what I know for sure is a lot of what I previously believed is absolutely not true. So it would take a long time to explain what all that is. I make my information
We've
public.
listened to you a few times, Robert, and people on my channel, I said that you were coming on, and they go, "Oh, I'm looking forward to that then." They like listening to you, Robert.
Oh, that is so nice. I appreciate the encouragement. You know, I've met fascinating people from all over the world. That's part of, I don't have like hangouts where I'm interviewing the people and it's live for people to listen to.
Mm.
What you're listening to from me is a life of meeting fascinating people and finding out things from them, and also the people that I've seen online that are in my research library. The research library is not limited to one playlist. It's actually the like the uh, the collection of information of humanity that's put in the digital archives. So right now, apparently, one of the data metrics is approximately 500 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every minute. 500 hours per
Yeah, they
minute.
can't wait to go restricted, 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 restricted.
Well, so there's a lot of selective approval and disapproval that manipulates what people see and what they believe, what we believe. So we're all subject to manipulation. Now that there's so much censorship on YouTube, what has happened is there are other
Same on YouTube,
venues.
Robert.
What?
Same on YouTube.
Yeah, so there's what has happened with that is it's part of the enemy of our souls is sizing us up. It's tracking, tracing, databasing, and threat assessing. What are we talking about? How many okay, so like if somebody goes to my Facebook page, it may look like it says out of missing context. It used to say missing content. It kind of looks like that. So the the fact that it's shaded over, it looks like it's not there. You have to click around on it and see how diligent you are to uncover what that information is. I even I even put a video that an interview of a doctor. I won't mention his name. It might flag this video. It's on Alex Jones's channel. Well, Alex is a big globalist. He's promoting the globe and his boner pills and all kinds of stuff. Well, anyway, he has some smatterings of the truth out there. I'll show that. It's not that I have all of his stuff. I just have a video where he was interviewing a doctor, and the doctor was going public with some really powerful reality. Now, Dr. Artis, I will mention his name. He's on my channel. I've got a hashtag. They won't give him a hashtag. Imagine that. But if you hashtag my name, you'll find him on my channel. There's sometimes thousands of results of the Robert Foertsch hashtag. The reason why I do that is it bypasses some of the censorship, and what it will allow people to do is to find out new platforms that come up later. So when I've been talking about this for years, I don't know everything. God does. I'm not all powerful. He is. He leads me to do things that have then become unallowed or not allowed anymore. Some of the censorship that we have may very well be a direct result of what the Most High had me do. I used to be able to copy and paste a, a photo album with almost 3,000 photos on a comment. Well, what does that, what, oh, just pictures of
Well,
pelicans
do you
and
know what I think,
people?
Robert?
What's that?
I think that when they made YouTube and Facebook, it was to communicate and get people talking and showing videos and having hangouts and all that. And then what people don't realize is that Facebook's probably been bought out by someone else. I know it says Mark Zuckerberg owns it, but YouTube definitely has been bought out by Google, and we know what Google is. It's the bull. And then they've gone out of their way to make sure that we can't communicate with each other. Like, on Hangouts, for instance, we used to go live. Do you remember that? We can't do that anymore unless it's a single person. We used to do this. They're just cutting it all out so that it's much harder for us to communicate. Like, we used to be able to have groups on YouTube. They took them off. Now you can't, like, you used to be able to press things and you used to be able to get places through their links. When they came on the Hangouts, you can't do that anymore. You just can't, It's just taken loads of things away. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Facebook's the same. It drew everybody in. And once we're there, if we were falling over and smashing our faces into doors and laughing about it, then that's it. See, that makes them laugh. But we want to talk about the truth. Well, no, we're sort of restricted
Yeah,
then.
so I've got something that might be a bit mind-blowing for people to consider. Hey, when I've got I've seen it happen out at the beach where I've done a lot of the work. I've seen or interaction with people. I was like at the beach this day, the whole day, and this family, it was a big group, like 20 people were walking on off the beach, and one of the mothers ran over to me. Her whole group looked at her run over to me, and she said, I just got to know, what are you about here? And I handed her a sticker and I said, if you hashtag my name in a Google search, I guaranteed you'll have your mind blown. It's guaranteed to blow your mind. And it's not just, and so she said, thank you so much. I said, the phone numbers anytime, if you or your friends and family have info you want to send me to look at, or somebody wants to give me a call, it's an anytime number. And then I waved at them. They all waved at me. It was hilarious. And then she went back on over. The whole thing of her and I talking together was about 30 seconds. And that's because that is the amount of time that there was. It was a brief interaction. And then I handed information. It's kind of like when I was wondering about the real estate collapse and the financial collapse of 2008. And all of a sudden, I started getting recommendations in my feed that caused me to question everything I had ever been taught as fact. Like, well, if they're lying about that, I can't trust them. It doesn't mean they always lie, because a clever deception has a lot of truth in it. Okay, so saying it like that, what I was going to say too about all this is that the stories of like Mark Zuckerberg eating ramen noodles and developing the largest information dragnet ever created, that's just patently not how it went down. It has a lot more to do with artificial intelligence creating an actor to live that out. Now he has a lot to do with Facebook, of course, but he sure is an easy guy to not like. I mean, he looks like a freaking alien. There's sound bites of him that are just so bizarre. And I'll put videos where they're making fun of him and that. But here's what I want you to consider. Some people, especially in the truth movement, so to speak, or they'll say, "Oh, I don't want anything to do with Facebook. I don't." uh, What I say to them, and I've got a few friends like that, I say, "You've already got a Facebook account. It's just you're not benefiting from it." Facebook created a profile for everybody it could, apparently. That's what I heard. Seems reasonable. They've got a profile for everybody. We've got our number, some kind of number associated with who we are. We've been inventoried. So I might as well use the shit out of it. And that's what I'll do. I'll share the truth worldwide 24/7. While I'm talking with you on the phone, there's people loving and hating me. I love pissing off the right people. Seriously. I do. I do. I remember talking to a doctor. He was questioning my sanity and what kind of medication, what kind of chemical imbalance did they need to uh, fix. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit too. There was no chemical imbalance. What there was I had toxic chemicals in my in the food, water, air. I was spiritually dead and didn't know it. And once I was born again, I was free from that whole system of control. The big pharma, the pharmaceutical, medical industrial complex pays for the training and the indoctrination of the people that will do their bidding. And now, apparently, with non-compliance, whether it's in the medical field or whatever area, they'll just pull their job. Can't, no soup for you. You don't get to work here anymore unless you comply with our mandates. Apparently, though, street people, homeless people, illegal aliens, and many governmental agencies, especially executive and legislative, they don't have to comply. A lot of people don't know that. Well, I've got videos exposing it. Yeah, isn't that special? Rules for thee, but not for me. For me and not whatever. It's like these entities that are worldwide in the governmental structure are put there to maintain their little pasture, their little herd of peasants. And so we've got the elite, and then we've got a whole bunch of slave class peasants. Well, that's the
Mhm.
way I found it, but I'm not taking it. I'm not complying to this system. I'll use every resource available to me so that I can help people make an informed choice on the most important reality, and that is, where will you spend forever and why? The great news is all of God's children will be born again. They'll be born of his spirit. Satan's kids, they get a chip off the old block with him. He's the one that's encouraging people to uh, rape, pillage, and steal, lie and deceive, human trafficking, human sacrifice. They're even mean to animals. They're bastards. They're Satan's kids.
Yeah, it is. They are. We're living in
And I'm
scary
telling on them.
times.
So that when you want to know who a person, what family they're in, there may be some glaring evidence with their actual activity if the truth be known about it. However, some people are really good at hiding the evil that they're doing. So there you go. Karen, how long have we been on for now? I don't have the time.
It's about an hour.
That's what I was thinking. My hour timer was going off, so I don't want it to be too long. What I'm going to say is, was there any additional topic or one that you want to go back to kick around for a bit, or do you think we've run our
Well,
course?
we've known each other a long time. A lot of what you say is just, yeah, it's spot on, Robert. We do talk about some of this stuff, but you have different avenues. Like mine's been about the Union Jack lately and other stuff. But no, you want to carry on for another 10 minutes, or you want to finish?
Well, I want to kind of wrap this up
Go on then,
and
you back it up.
it, and so here's one of the things that I want for us all to consider, and that is it true? Whatever it is that you want to know about, whatever, I'm not telling everybody what they need to look into. I would just say, is what you're believing actually true? And what can you prove to be absolutely true, especially if it's really important to you? Some things we have to believe because knowing isn't quite possible. We can have a strong belief on something, and perhaps it may even actually be true. However, is it our own wishful thinking that's driving a search to confirm the bias we want to maintain? It may be because of a relationship, a career, that type of thing. People are going to have to make tough decisions. Some of the mandates are requiring compliance, or people are going to lose their job. Well, if you go and look around at my social media activity and profiles, some of the compliance has absolutely cost people their lives. They're gone. They died. Young people, old people, people of all ages. Wow, because of compliance. Yeah, so what good is your college education or your managing being a CEO or a head of state if you're dead? What does it matter? So that's where perspective matters. So the perspective of making an informed choice with with the truth being the primary focus. So when I talk about food for thought is not just an idea, and it's not just nutrition. It's a symbiotic relation between healthy nutrition and that including would be truth, because deception is like a poison for the mind. So critical thinking, this is so very important. Critical thinking definitely involves the law of non-contradiction. In other words, opposing viewpoints can't both be correct. They may, in fact, both be wrong. The truth may be something that is neither A or B, it might be C. It might be the truth of the matter. What we're given in politics is they're like two wings of the same bird. They might even throw another tail feather in there for the independence or some kind of a thing like that. But there's a very clever manipulation of humanity that involves people arguing with one another about their guy or gal or their what team they like, whether it's a sports team or a political team or an ideological perspective on spirituality. You know, we've got a veritable spiritual smorgasbord around humanity. And a lot of people will walk down this buffet of spirituality and say, I like a little of this, or I want a little of that, or I don't want any of it. That's one too. That's one of the choices. Just saying. It's kind of funny. People will look at it and say, yeah, I don't want that religion or that religion or that relationship, or and they just want to do their own thing. That's one in itself. The God most people, I'm convinced, the God most people worship is the one looking at them in the mirror. Me, wanting what they want, to do their own thing, to have people provide for them, and to it's so we don't have to normally teach a child to say mine. That comes natural. And they say no quite a bit too. And there's two words that they can be represented by any of the languages. One of them is yes. Using that word properly can be have eternal benefits, as well as the word no. Knowing when to say yes and knowing when to say no, and how can you say no? I remember there was, it might have been Solzhenitsyn. It was some person, maybe somebody here knows the quote and who said it, but they were in these like prison camps where they were snatched and grabbed by, I believe it was Nazis. I believe that was the story. They were taken away. And what they said, oh, how our hearts burned when we thought if we just had used pitchforks, hammers, pokers to put up resistance. The people that went out to take us away, if they knew that they may never see their family again, would they have done what they did? That's something
Mm.
real heavy to think about. We've got paid thugs right now. Paid thugs. It might be a woman, might be a man, might be a tranny. I don't know. People that are going to, they're going to put their boot on the face of humanity. Australia, with their up talking, the way that they have their syllable go up on the end, whether it's Dan Andrews, I would like to just punch him one right in the face, or Boris, your
Yeah, that
representative
punch
Boris
in
over
the
there.
face.
He needs a better hairdo, but it's characteristic of his pompous ass that he is. You know, the representatives of, but okay, so we've got that whole group of people. They're monsters, and what they're doing is terrible. Those the mandates that have been worldwide at different levels have led to suicides, murders, starvation, and it's all criminal. I'm telling. Show and tell for adults. It isn't right. There's right and there's wrong. And this whole where we are in humanity, there is a whole lot of wrong. Now, this is where it is really tough to look at, is that because the Most High is all powerful and all knowing, he's allowing these things to happen temporarily. With eternity as the backdrop, even 100 years is not even a percent. It's not even measurable. It's not even a piece of sand in comparison to the whole earth, however big the puddle is that all the continents rise out of.
Mm.
So as we consider eternity, the name of my channel used to be Eternal Perspective. We're all going to have a perspective forever. I just want to have people consider the truth about it all. What is true? And how, you know, like Morpheus talking to Neo, how what is real? You mean this isn't real? Well, what is real? If real is determined by what you can see and smell and touch, then real is simply electrical impulses interpreted by your brain. A
Mm.
caveat to that is what happens when your brain is short-circuited and programmed with deception. So people are going along with this false narrative, and they're bamboozled, and they're bamboozling others by going along with it. Compliance is consent, and it's also part of the grand illusion. I'm not having any of it. I'm not
Oh.
doing it. So I'll comply. I will submit my life to the Most High, and everybody else can deal with it. They're going to love it, and they're going to hate it. The majority is going to hate it. Apparently, in the world, there's a very small group of people that actually love the truth enough that they're willing to lay down their life, that they're willing to pay the highest price that can be paid. And it's not just dying for it, it's living for it. It's living for it around the clock. Oh, I've got somebody at my door. I think I'm going to
Oh.
go ahead and say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for listening in.
Oh.
Uh,
Yes.
when the video goes up, Karen, if you would put the link to my Facebook and YouTube, that'd be great. I would love to.
I
And
always put your YouTube one on.
yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, when I go to comment, I can add my Facebook and that if you don't mind, or if you want to, that would be great. But the hashtag of my name would
Sure.
be great. Then if somebody clicks on that,
Send it
it'll
to me. Send it to me on Facebook, and then I'll add it to the video.
That sounds great, Karen. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I've got to run, but we'll be in touch, okay?
Of course, my
People,
darling. Thanks for the
thanks. And
hangout, Robert.
oh, you're welcome. And just so you all know, if you run across my number, you can call or text me anytime. Another benefit with Messenger is it's worldwide on a wireless system, so it can even be on Wi-Fi. And apparently on a iPhone to iPhone, digital audio or video is no additional charge.
Mm.
So it's worldwide communications, person to person that way. I'm also on WhatsApp, Skype, and whatever other platforms I can be on as this
And you're on mine.
unfolds. Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt. Hey, thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah,
I
lots of
appreciate
love,
you having me on.
Robert.
Okay, sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye, darling. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Robert.